Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Pull here on Comic Relief Cast. I'm your host Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey Jake, I got a quick question for you.
What is it?
Do you think you can stop a terrorist attack?
No.
What are we reading?
I would do my damnedest. But guys, thanks so much for clicking on it. As you have seen from the title, this is the DC episode for this week here on the 16th. It's Tuesday that we're recording this, but all the comics will be hitting tomorrow on the 16th on Wednesday. And obviously, you like I said, clicked on the DC portion, but we're also going to be going over a few indie titles as well. So what we're going over in this episode is the TMNT Shredder in Hell #1, Superman #7, Detective Comics 996, Justice League Dark #7, Flash #62, Breakneck #2, Hawkman #8, Catwoman #7, and The Batman Who Laughs #2 from the 6-issue miniseries. And going right into it, we are going to be starting off with Shredder in Hell. The artist and writer is actually Mateus Santaluoco. I hope I did that right. And I haven't
right.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with the Ninja Turtles stuff, so I did know that Shredder had been killed back a little while off. Killed a while off. Damn it, I can't talk right now.
He was killed a while back.
He was killed a while back, and so what they're doing is this little kind of mini-series where Shredder is coming back, or trying to get out of hell and being resurrected. And it starts off with a woman trying to resurrect him. But what I really like is, one, the art really stands out to me. I thought the art was beautifully done. And actually, I think I got to give it up to the colorist, too, is Marcelo Costa, because the colors really make the pencils pop here. It has like a painterly quality to it. I really like that. But what I really dug about this book is, one, I'm not reading the Ninja Turtles, so yeah, there are a few things I feel a little left behind, like Oroku Saki being kind of a reincarnated version of this Spirit of the Dragon kind of thing. Not something I knew about. I think in the comic books, Splinter was always Yoshi. He wasn't like just a rat that learned karate from his master Yoshi, but he is in fact that character turned into a rat. But I really like that this is a book where it's kind of taking Shredder and he's at odds with himself. He's at odds with his goals. He's at odds with a lot of things. Like, this is kind of my programming, and now he's trying to go into counter programming. He's going through hell to do it. He's kind of going through the 7 circles of hell. One that doesn't seem so bad, but where he finally leaves off is like almost like, I think, a demonic look at the actual Ninja Turtles themselves. I didn't really think they'd be bringing them into this. I thought it'd be very Shredder focused, and it is. But I'm actually excited to see what he has to do to fight the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, the artwork in this book is amazing. It does kind of suck because I haven't been keeping up with Ninja Turtles, so I was a little lost at times. But other than that, I mean, it was a nice read just to visually just be looking at this artwork that was beautiful. It was an interesting take, and one thing I do like, because like I said, I haven't been keeping up with Ninja Turtles, but I have read the old
Eastman
and Laird. Yeah. And like, the one thing I'm glad to see that apparently they did keep with telling of like how gory the book is, like how more adult TMNT actually originally was.
Yeah, and this doesn't seem like too bad of a jumping on point, because at the beginning, the fight scene that they kind of allude to it looks like the end of the first 1990s Jim Henson Ninja Turtles movie, which I thought that was cool. So
yeah, they kind of give you a rundown of everything, so like you don't get too lost, but you do kind of wish that you read some beforehand.
Right, but I think it does a good job of kind of holding your hand. And so I will unveil this episode's rating scale, and I'm going to give the Shredder in Hell #1 3.2 Bam Pows. I actually really liked it, and I'm a sucker for the Ninja Turtles anyway.
I give it 3 Boom Pals.
All right, I'm going to go on to Superman #7 by Brian Michael Bendis and Ivan Reyes, however you pronounce his name. And this one, I gotta say, one of the first things I really noticed cracking open this book is how many goddamn ads there are in this book. You're paying $3.99 for this book, and with as many ads as it feels that interrupt the pacing of your reading, it feels like you're not getting your bang for your buck here, because a while ago DC was $2.99, now it's $3.99. It's a lot of filler. And this book, it's bringing back Jonathan Kent, if you saw from the last issue, and it's kind of telling the story of what he was doing with Jor-El at that time. And you didn't get all of it, but I will say we do see Lois Lane in a really nice looking Superman costume. She looks good. Can't be mad about that, but there is not a lot of actual story in this. I don't think this progresses the story too far, but it does get me intrigued to read more of it, because I do want to know more what's going on with Jonathan Kent.
So it's just a good filler issue.
It's a decent filler issue, but it also does feel mandated by like Dan DiDio to say, look, we want to age Jonathan Kent up. I don't want him to be a kid anymore. I mean, we know how he feels about these legacy characters, and it feels like Bendis didn't want to have to age up Jonathan, but he's doing what he can by being mandated to do so. At least that's kind of the impression that I get reading it. But At least we get to go back and see Jonathan Kent when he was young, when he first went off with Jor-El earlier on in the series. With that, I will give this issue 2.7 Bam Pals.
All right, I read Detective Comics in 996, mostly just because people kept recommending that we should read it, and it's coming up to 1,000, and I was just kind of intrigued to see where it was at. It's written by Peter Tomasi, and the art is done by Mankey, which one thing, I'm like, I'll look at this and I go, man, the pencils are so great in this. It's one thing that sucks because, like, you don't get, like, no offense, but you don't get great pencil work like this in the main Batman run. And I start reading it, and granted, I'm jumping in the middle of something, so I'm not too familiar with what's going on. But it's written better than Tom King's. I'm like, why am I reading Tom King's Batman?
That's what I hear. Everyone tells us that Detective Comics is much better than Batman.
Yeah. See, I was reading Detective Comics there, Rebirth, when it started, and
I read the first 3 volumes.
And I really liked it. But then after they started including the whole Bat family and stuff, it started getting a little out of pace for me. But I'm kind of bummed that I haven't been reading this. It seems really good. You guys were right on the recommendation. It actually is a good Batman run, and I appreciate the artwork on it. It wasn't a fantastic issue. There wasn't a bunch going on, but it definitely was way more action-packed than the last 3 issues of Batman, in my opinion. With that being said, I'm going to give this 2.75 Boom Pals.
Okay, real quick question. Is that a good jumping on point? Or is it like
this
if
is
I
not
would have jumped on 2 issues ago? Or
2 issues ago, I think that maybe, like, it's not a super bad jumping on point, but if you probably jumped in about 2 issues back, you'd probably be in this really nice ground where a good starting, where you got a good beginning, and then you kind of get to this. It seems like they're getting to the end of this, like, whole last stand hunt thing. But the cool thing about it is it still addresses everything that kind of goes on in the Batman run. It kind of addresses things that's happened in Batman's history, like the wedding and stuff like that. So it's not like it's not canon in its own world. As a matter of fact, it feels more canon than the actual Batman run.
All right, going on to Justice League Dark, issue 7. It's by James Tynion, and the artist is Martinez Bueno. As you guys have known if you've been listening to us, absolutely loving the Justice League Dark series. I think it's kind of an unsung hero right now with the new slate of DC comic books, and it's not getting the attention it deserves, in my opinion anyway. I think it's great, and what this issue is it's still canon with what was not canon, but it's still in remembering where it came from when the Otherkind came in. You remember, like, the upside down guy and all that? Yeah, so that comes in play late in this book, but what it is it's Kirk the Man-Bat, and he's telling stories, and he's like telling horror stories. I mean, this is a good horror book right here. He's telling horror stories of the things that have been going on in the magical world and you know, in the shadows of what we perceive to be our own reality. And the more and more he's telling us these stories as the viewer, he's talking straight to us, which I thought is really kind of a cool technique to utilize. But the more he's going over these stories, he's realizing, okay, I actually didn't write this, and all these stories are the ones that I had written, and I'm realizing I'm not writing this. And there's like this motif going on where the other kind gets power if people keep telling stories about it. Then they have staying power, and it's a really almost a meta commentary on the story that the book itself, and I really enjoyed it. This is something I would absolutely pick up. This is a 3.5 Boom Pals from me. Please pick up Justice League Dark if you're not already reading it.
Yeah, I can vouch for it. I haven't read this issue, but it has been nothing but a killer run. I read Flash 62. It's still kind of following up with the Flash quest. It's written by Joshua Williamson. The pencils are done by Christian Deuce, which I'm glad that he came in and picked up the pencils, because the pencil work was not doing that well, but he did the pencil work for the past 2 issues, and they are great. He really does a good job at drawing Barry. But it just follows him trying to figure out the rest of the Force quest and everything, and he's hunting down the Sage Force, and he finds it on Zandia by a person named Psyche, which is like a new character that was introduced in the last issue. It's still a fun book. This is pretty much now just kind of going like, okay, well, we get it. You're looking for the Force quest. It's been going on for the past like 4 or 5 books. Let's kind of, get to a good point, and also let's address a little bit more about Wally.
Well, and they're also probably waiting to do the Batman Flash crossover thing.
Oh, yeah.
There is an ad in all the DC books where it looks like Batman and Flash are laying knocked out, and there's a shadow of what appears to be maybe Superboy or Jonathan Kent, somebody. But yeah, every DC book has that ad.
And I'll give this book, because of the pencil works being so great, the story was a pretty good, like, Flash story. One that, like, if a kid was to pick up this book, they would have a fun time with it. I'm going to give it 2.75 Boom. You know what? I'll give it 2.95 Boom Pals.
All right, moving on to Breakneck #2. It's written by Dwayne Swarzynski, and the artwork is, man, I don't know why people do these names to me.
Google a Mini.
It's Simone Guglielmini and Rafael Semeraro, and it's actually from Titan Comics, and they have an imprint called Hard Case Crime. And actually, in the back of the book, they have a bunch of prints of some of the graphic novels they've done, and they all look like they're about in the same vein. And actually, reading Breakneck has me very interested in checking some of those other stories out. But what this is issue 2 of the Breakneck that we went over. It was a little while ago. It was a little more than a month ago, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's following the same characters, and they're on the clock. There's a time limit, and they've got to go save these people from a terrorist attack. And it's like this odd couple. They should not be paired together. One guy works for the Department of Defense. The other guy is like, hey, I walked in on you what I thought was fucking my wife, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's like this unlikely pairing of these two guys, and the guy working for the Department of Defense is on truth serum, and he can't really function to his full ninja capacity or whatever, like Liam Neeson in Taken. So
yeah, he can't be very secretive and anything like that.
Yeah, and what it is too is in the first issue it feels a little bit more grounded and a little bit more hard hitting. And in this book you realize this is more of a Shane Black styled story, like The Nice Guys or Lethal Weapon.
Nice Guys feel to this.
It does
book.
feel a lot like Nice Guys, and for that I really appreciate it. But this book, I will say, is also for mature readers. It's definitely more adult oriented, but it's a hell of a good read. It's a lot of fun to read, and it's one of those very cinematic type books, kind of the way we were talking about Brubaker and Phillips on Criminal. It does feel very cinematic. I would absolutely recommend picking this up. This book is a hell of a good time to read, and there's good action, there's good mystery, there's also really good humor. I think it's kind of everything you'd want from a little bit of a grounded thriller like this. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has everything that you would want. It's a great time to read. And the whole time that you're reading it, you're just going like, I need to see this as a movie. This would make a killer movie. And this is probably me and you have been kind of exploring a little bit more in the indie titles,
trying to
and
branch out,
taking a little bit more chances when we do our ordering on certain things. And I would have to say, there's Beyonders that we really like, and there's what's another one? Wrong Earth that we really enjoy, and then there's Breakneck. And I would have to say that Breakneck would have to be my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, I think I have to say that too.
Definitely, it's just a well written comic so far. And with that being said, I'm gonna give my grade scale. I'm at 4 Boom Pals.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I'm going really. I know I'm going higher, and I know when I go back and listen to this, I'll be like, oh, Josh, she was a little too high on that. But I was just reading it, and I just felt so good after reading it.
Yeah, I had a really good time reading it. I'm at 3.8 Boom Pals.
Okay, not too far off. Okay.
Yeah, I had a great
Maybe
time.
I'm not too high.
All right, I'm going to move on to Hawkman #8. It's by Venditti and Brian Hitch. Why can't I think of, it's Robert Venditti. I couldn't think of his first name. Robert Venditti and Brian Hitch. And man, this series just keeps delivering. Venditti, this is just a passion project for him. You could just tell, I wanted to do a Hawkman series, and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, and he is. And in this issue, he goes to his past life on Krypton, where he was a Kryptonian early on in his life, and spanning the millennia. And it's to the point, it's actually, he's going to Krypton at the moment where it blows up. We all know the story. So what it's really cool about it is it's not only adding to the mythology and background and history of Hawkman, but it's also adding in a little bit of history to the Superman Supergirl mythos, because Hawkman, Carter Hall, actually even brings up to his Kryptonian self, like, hey, on my Earth, there's the last son of Krypton is Superman, and there's also Kara, and his Kryptonian version actually knows Kara. It was a student of his and all that. So it's really adding to both of those things, and I really like it. The whole mystery and prevention of the Deathbringers and stuff, which Hawkman used to be a part of, and then he kind of tried to overthrow them. And the whole history behind, why he keeps getting reincarnated is basically that he has to atone for every person he's killed, for every life he's ever taken. He has to come back and save that many people. So through all these thousands of years that have gone by, he still has not saved enough people to, in comparison to how many lives he's already taken. Great stuff, great issue, great variant cover by Sienkiewicz, if you guys can get that. I had to pick that one up for myself, but I'm going to give this book 4.2 Boom Pals. I'm loving Hawkman.
I need to catch up on it. I read Catwoman #7 by Joel Jones. When he reviews Hawkman, I usually review Catwoman. I was talking to some people online to find out what they also felt about Catwoman, and some people really love this Catwoman series, and we all were thinking the same thing, is it going to continue being good after the last story arc? This is a new story arc starting off new, and she still is doing a great job on it. I still love the artwork. I'm still loving the story.
I'll tell you what, that cover is very enticing.
The cover, it has once again, it has two great covers, and the cover on this one is very... At first glance, it's very suggestive, and then you realize, okay, she's not doing what I think that she's doing.
Yeah, but then the Ben Oliver cover is great.
The Ben Oliver cover is great. Ben Oliver is doing some great variants this week for DC. But this she's still killing it. This storyline's good. If you're somebody who is a fan of Batman Returns, this will probably be a little bit more because Joelle Jones tries to go for a little bit more of like a Michelle Pfeiffer type feel of Catwoman, and in this one it looks like she's going to be going up against Penguin, so it's kind of a fun little nod at that. It is continuing some stuff that happened in the last arc, but it is kind of continuing its new arc, and she's still doing a great job on it. And with that being said, I give it 3.75 Boom Pals.
All right, I appreciate you not taking as much time as I did. I realized how much I rambled on Hawkman.
You're tired, and you like Hawkman. I
do.
It.
All right, and the last issue, guys, we're going to cover today is probably the one you guys have all been waiting for, kind of curious, wondering how we feel about this one. At least it's The Batman Who Laughs, #2 from the 6-issue miniseries, written by Scott Snyder and the art done by Jock. And as you guys recall, if you listened to when we reviewed issue 1, that was just one of the biggest surprises that week for me because, as you know, I've just not been a fan of Snyder lately, and I thought, man, I'm going to hate this. And what do you know? Issue 1 ended up...
What's also added, it's not just the Snyder thing, but it's also the fact that you absolutely...
Hate metal,
and you hate the Batman Who Laughs character.
So, much to my surprise, I loved issue 1, and issue 2, I am happy to say it does not disappoint. It's a great successor to issue 1, and I think this is going to shape up to be a really good 6-issue series. Hopefully, Snyder doesn't drop the ball, but I don't want to give away too much of what's going on in this issue because I think this is one of those things that I would say read for yourself. But, the art inside, Jock's doing a great job, but what's going on is you can slowly start to see Batman's kind of descent into madness in this book. The way he just cannot keep up with the Batman Who Laughs. He's like one step ahead of him because Batman Who Laughs, he's kind of already been through everything Bruce is going through right now, so he's constantly playing catch up. But this is actually where we get our rating system, is the Boom Pals in this. So that was a fun little thing I thought was kind of cool. I would say check this book out. I don't know, Josh, anything you want to add?
Jock does a beautiful cover. I'm a huge fan of Jock's artwork, but Ben Oliver does another great variant with this book. I highly suggest if you can pick up both of them, pick them both up. If you can pick up one, pick up that Ben Oliver cover. The storyline is good. I feel like what Jake said is true. This is one that you're going to want to sit with and read. You might want to do a second read on it, just because I feel like if you do a second read, you might pick up things that you didn't pick up the first time, which is I always love that kind of deal. Where you can enjoy a book and then you reread it and you find things you didn't see before. But all in all, this is shaping up to be a good series, and it's obvious that Scott Snyder is down. Like, he does a great job when he's just writing Batman.
Yeah, and Snyder knows his Batman mythology. He knows its history because the character that they teased towards the end is something I definitely didn't see coming.
I didn't either.
Yeah,
so it was definitely a big surprise.
Yeah, guys, definitely recommend picking this one up. It wasn't my favorite read for this episode. I really enjoyed Hawkman, and I really enjoyed Breakneck.
I did too.
There were some really good offerings this week from both Marvel and DC, guys. So this is going to be a good week in the comic shop for you guys. But that is all we've got for you.
You're going to rate it? Are you going to give your rating?
My bad. What'd you rate it?
I haven't rated it yet.
Oh, okay.
I was like waiting for you to get done talking.
I was flipping through as you were talking. Okay, so I'm going to give this one 3.65 Boom Pals. That's good, but not as good as a couple of the other issues I had a really good time with.
I'm a little bit higher just because of that Ben Oliver variant. 3.75 Boom Pals.
All right, guys. Well, then that is all we've got for you this week. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit that like button if you guys like this. And hey, if you didn't, feel free to hit that thumbs down button. Comment below. Let us know. You guys planning on picking up any of these books? Are there any that we talked about that you weren't planning on? That you're like, you know what? That sounds interesting. I'm going to take that. Or are there ones that we talked about that you plan on picking up and you're like, yeah, maybe not, based on the recommendation? Let us know in the comments below. Let's have that discussion. Of course, share this with your comic book reading friends if you can. And of course, as always, subscribe to the channel. We keep losing, then gaining some new subscribers. So we're just one step back, one step forward.
We're just using the pity. We're really hoping that you guys feel bad for us.
No, not at all. I don't care. Don't subscribe. No, please do. Thanks, guys, so much for listening. And we will see you guys next week with more early comic book reviews.
Pow!